Welcome to Go Home Heat, a wrestling podcast, a joyous wrestling podcast as we start out a new year, and we have Justin back, which is great because we needed Justin back. A huge part of what we do here at Go Home Heat, and this is a sports entertainment podcast. Let's go. Raw. You know what I think we're going to do in the interest of fairness to ourselves is when we hit a segment that was nothing, we're going to call it nothing and move along.
Oh, I like this because it's going to get us through Raw.
Yes, hopefully within 48 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the 12 minutes it takes to talk about SmackDown.
I wish sometimes I get stuck watching the Hulu version of Raw, which is the cut down version, and I have to go back and find stuff that I missed. I wish I could do my own version of Raw that was like the cut down version. I knew what would happen beforehand. It's like, I don't need that segment.
Well,
that segment, I can make this a good show if you edit it down to about an hour and 48 minutes.
Well, you know how NXT is a great show?
Yes.
One thing I love about NXT too is if I manage to, like, I'll watch it, fast forwarding and stuff, but then a lot of times I'll just go back and watch the network version where they don't have the split screen during the commercials and they don't have commercials at all.
Yeah. It's so much better.
So good. Yeah, it's like an hour and 32 minutes. Maybe, you know what I mean, and it's no BS, and you don't have to squint or try to ignore the Todd on the right side of the screen while you're watching the little. Yeah, it's Monday, and you know what that means.
Camera cuts.
Was the first thing out of the announcer Tom Phillips's mouth, because there was a quick segment for Brody.
It was they brought up a picture.
And loving memory, that kind of thing for Brody there. All right, Drew's out there at the ring, and I believe he said it's Monday, and you know what that means as well. I think we got that twice in the first 2 minutes. And then Drew says it's been a long year, and he outlines that and then says Lee or Sheamus get a shot at me on the Legends Raw. Sheamus comes out, says he kept his word, didn't touch Lee till the match was over. Drew and Sheamus are talking about the title match they've been waiting for one-on-one for 15 years. They used to dream in bingo halls. Do they have bingo halls over there?
Oh, yeah. Bingo's huge.
In Europe?
Yeah. Old people love bingo, Kevin.
No matter where they are.
It's universal.
I did not realize that. I thought that it was only like...
No, I think bingo came from Europe. I don't think it started here in America, so...
Okay. Well, that's for you to know out there. Okay, and so then Keith Lee's music hits, and he comes on out, and he thinks he correctly assumes that they seem to be quite smitten with themselves out there, and that now Drew's word is just as good as Sheamus's, which would be it means nothing. And Keith says you can trust Sheamus. Keith says you told me I could trust Sheamus, and they're both fired up. And then Drew says, let's get a ref out here. Why not? Let's don't wait till the end of the show. And it's match time as Keith gets after Sheamus. As Keith manages to get up after Sheamus kicks him upside the head. So, and when we come back from the commercial break, Keith is still reeling a little bit from the kick to the head. Drew mentions that he's on commentary and mentions that he won a Slammy, which, okay, great. Slammies are awesome. And
Are they, Kevin?
No, I don't think about them. I liked it when they used to have them on the show because that always, now that it's on the network, like, I barely trusted Slammy Awards when it was on the show, but I kind of did. And now that it's on the network, I think it's just complete propaganda. What we want you to believe that your people like. Yeah.
And I don't trust anything. I mean, I kind of I trust the NXT Awards a little bit better because I think that's actually just an quick internet vote, you know?
Vince isn't involved.
Yes.
That's why you trust it.
A little bit more.
Because Vince isn't involved. And you know that Vince is going to make... Like, Vince, as long as...
John Cena's everybody's favorite.
As long as the results match up with Vince's results, it'll be fine.
Yes.
Okay. Sheamus does really well early, as we said. These guys are two freaking bears. And he hits a white noise on Keith Lee, which looks...
ridiculous.
Yeah, and Lee's size engulfs him while he's doing it. And then Keith absorbs 2 headbutts, gives one back, the two-handed chest slap.
Grizzly Magnum.
Yeah, leads to a spirit bomb. 1, 2, 3. And Keith Lee is going to get the matchup next week at Legends Night.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope they pull the trigger.
Oh, I know they will not. I know they will not, but that would be awesome.
And there's no chance that Keith Lee gets a fair finish. He doesn't even get the job. Right? Sheamus kicks Drew in the head and then goes into a program with Drew, right?
That would be my guess.
We all think he's going to kick Keith, and he kicks Drew.
Yeah.
That's what I'm guessing. Okay. Elias seems to be cleansing Reichert backstage with the soothing sounds of his guitar. Okay. Miz versus Grand Metalik.
Oh, that was awesome.
Miz is downtrodden, and the King of the Ropes is in trouble. Miz, as he beats him up pretty good, begins to run his mouth and use the physicality, which does not wind up winning because as he runs his mouth, he distracts himself. Grand Metalik hits a flash float over and the 1, 2, 3 win.
What a week for the Lucha House Party this week.
What a week, and well deserved.
Yes.
I love watching Grand Metalik wrestle.
I do too. I just wish we could buy. Can we all take a collection to get him into like a fashion designer or somebody to design him a new costume that doesn't look like he's the villain from an episode of
Power Rangers?
He's going to get hit with some beam and turn into something like a 30-foot tall Gila monster.
He's been in the WWE so long, I have no clue what his attire would have been like back in the day. But there's a piece of me that would like to look it up just to see if this was his call.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Lindsay Eldorado is his call, that he has like little fur chops.
Yeah, I do too. It's a terrible call.
But he's a tiger or something.
Yeah. He's kind of doing a callback to Tiger Mask, but it's just... I don't think Tiger Mask. I'm going to commit wrestling, blasphemy here. I don't think Tiger Mask masks look cool either, but...
That's it. You're out of here.
You're out of here. You're done.
AJ interrupts Elias and says almost was listening to Mozart, and he mispronounces that. And then he gets it right the second time. And
who knew
that he was on the phone, so by God, y'all need to shut the hell up. And at this point, Reichert runs to Elias's defense, and AJ was just mad because he couldn't get the job done last week. And this whole thing turns into a challenge, and then an AJ leaping headbutt to his boy Almost, this segment was gold for absolutely no legitimate reason.
No legitimate reason. Almost is good when he's... he doesn't have to do much. He's such a character just with his presence to play off of. And AJ's gold. I think these two... I did not know I needed this, but I like them together so much.
Dude, AJ leaping up to headbutt him and not quite making it to his chin.
Yes.
Is gold. Okay, man. And it's Byron and Joe and Phillips on commentary here. Baszler versus Dana Brooke. Shayna's literally trying to break Brooke's arm during this thing. I mean, dude, she is brutal to watch her, the way she works people's body parts. Baszler tosses,
and she's so safe with it.
Yeah,
she makes it look so bad, but it's actually so safe.
Right. Baszler tosses Dana out of the ring and throws Mandy against the apron. Tries to break Mandy's arm as well. Opens the door for Dana to get an electric chair drop, and then on the apron, and a roll up, and a springing neck breaker, and that leads to a 2 count. And Baszler's running knee winds up turning into Katita Clutch. Karafuna Clutch. And thank you for that. And then the tap out. And then she puts the same, say it again.
Karafuna
Clutch on Mandy as well for good measure. Alexa, we're moving to Alexa Bliss now. Do you like my playground? Blah, blah, blah. She thinks he may be waiting for Legends Night to reappear. He being, of course, the Fiend. Alexa Bliss has received a playground, which we saw last week and this week, a swing set style setup in the ring. And he may be waiting for his hero, Hulk Hogan, which let's hope that Hulk Hogan is not his hero. Although if he's going to be a heel, Hogan would be a Hero.
Well, but how awesome would it be if the Fiend like choked out Hulk Hogan?
Awesome, because Hogan's mouth could deserve
Yes, all of it.
a claw in it. Okay, and so
If you want to make him a babyface in my book, have him choke out Hulk Hogan.
yeah, eating vitamins, saying prayers. Although I don't know who he prays to, which is a great line.
Yeah.
And then Randy winds up in the funhouse and beats up all the puppets, ripping Rambling Rabbit's head off.
No.
And, yes, and he kicks Huskus in the head. It's brutal attack on these puppets out there. He also lets us know that the Fiend will not be coming back, that it's all over, to which Alexa says, I challenge you to a match later. At that point, I thought for sure Alexa Bliss was going, oh my goodness.
Uh-oh.
Apologies. At that point, I thought for sure Alexa Bliss was getting punt kicked tonight.
Oh, well, yeah. At least RKO'd.
Yeah, of course. And the next segment would be Charlotte is buddies with Asuka. We'll move on. Almost AJ head to the ring. AJ versus Elias is up next. Elias whoops AJ pretty good early. And I'm not sure if they mishandled Elias or if his gimmick is just such that there's only so much you can do with him. But I really like the way he wrestles.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then AJ's so good. Elias winds up doing an old school, which an Undertaker walk on a ropes, Meteora, which is pretty.
I've not seen that. I'm sure other people do it, but I haven't seen it.
Right. AJ's tossed out of the ring. Reichardt's about to do something and almost doesn't allow that to happen. Elias hits a drift away for a near fall. Elias with the TKO for a near fall. Styles winds up with an arm shiver and phenomenal forearm, which would be his version of a from out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. And AJ takes a whooping and pulls out a win here. I thought this was a good little match.
Yeah, heel versus heel match.
Yeah, and well done. Well done. Okay, Ricochet versus Mustafa Ali is the next thing up. And again, you have good... These two guys are fantastic performers.
I wish we got the match we wanted instead of this, though.
What do you mean?
Just too much interference. It didn't go long for what it was. Like, a lot of it was just an excuse for Mustafa Ali to yell at him. It's you know.
Right. There's a fine line between.
Those guys could be wrestling.
Right. The Miz yelling when he's in the ring is one thing because he's not Mustafa Ali. Oh, yeah, right. I get it. Ricochet with the float over somersault, backflip, super suplex. Ricochet hits his finisher. Mace pulls him out of the ring. Retribution surrounds the ring, and Ricochet puts all those guys on the ropes, basically looking like a racquetball.
Dude, how cool is he? He's so good, dude.
Yeah.
Bing, 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 bing. How do you look at that guy and not go, man?
Yeah, like we should put the U.S. title on him and let him just fight from down under for a year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's possible he could get a groundswell to where we wind up putting a world title belt on him.
Oh, because he's like, dude, I just don't.
Dude, if he doesn't, if they don't someday purchase the rights to Lucha Underground and bring him back as Prince Puma.
Yeah.
And just so I can
mark out.
No, to reboot Ricochet.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Ricochet, but come on, man. There's no way to save what you've done to him.
No, you've killed it.
Unless you want to do what they should have done here, because, of course, he goes for a shooting star press, and Ali gets the legs up and chokes him out. And
with a Koji clutch, which is kind of a variant on the Peruvian necktie, which is I really like. That's a really cool looking.
I love that he's picked that finisher up.
Yeah,
it's great.
It's a real. That's a legit choke out.
Yeah, and it looks totally super duper funny. Like
it's fancy looking.
Right,
it's
correct.
Fancy. It's fancy submission. But yeah, you catch somebody with that thing and it'll put them to sleep.
Right. Mustafa says, "Join us." Ricochet says, "I will." Big pause. Not. He does the recoil on Mustafa, and then he retreats. Just go ahead and put Ricochet in the group. Like you said, man, this was first of all, Ricochet is fantastic. Watching him do things is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You could have done the same thing without even having a match.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing: you're hurting both of them by taking this long to do it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Ricochet keeps getting beat up, and you have to keep justifying it too with Ricochet beating 4 guys at once for part of. I mean, both guys.
Now you have 3 wrestlers who could really use to look strong. Mustafa Ali doesn't have to look strong; he's a leader.
No, he's a leader.
And plus, we have seen years worth of him being a fantastic in-ring performer.
Mm-hmm.
Mace doesn't need to look like an idiot.
No.
If he's going to be formidable.
Too late.
Right? I mean, even if you want to dress him like an idiot.
Yeah.
When he hits somebody, it should matter. When he gets in there, you should say, oh, he's in trouble.
Yeah, that dude's enormous.
And they've done that like one time with him.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
Dominic Dijakovic over there, dudes.
He should be in the title picture.
Not being punked out. I don't know.
Anyway. All right. So, Nia's backstage, and basically she's going to end Charlotte. They're getting back their belts. She's entering the Rumble, and Shayna thinks, oh, that's great. Which means she wants to enter the Rumble too. Mm-hmm. Which, of course. Okay, Charlotte versus Nia, and Drew, they announce that, go to commercial, they come back, and Drew's doing some kind of segment backstage where he says, Keith is where he belongs. I've been worried about him. Everybody's been awaiting this. And when I'm listening to this, I'm like, okay, 1, you don't watch NXT.
Mm-hmm.
2, he was wrestling for a world championship, and you freaking interrupted it, Drew.
Like several times, if I remember correctly.
He's been in the main event with Randy Orton on this show.
And you interrupted it.
And you're acting like we're waiting on him? Yeah. Why you been in the way?
Yeah, holding him down.
Always. Always Drew McIntyre holding down talent. The golden shovel, Drew McIntyre.
That's what he is.
Charlotte versus Nia. Charlotte does great early, chopping down the tree. Nia winds up outside the ring there. Baszler comes over, and Asuka does the spinning backfish. Charlotte winds up going for the figure 8, but Nia pulls Charlotte into the turnbuckle. And then Nia, I said old school here, not as in she goes old school, which would be a thing if she were to walk the ropes. However, she does old school by putting all of her weight on Charlotte's neck, which the bigger wrestler used to do that all the time. Mm-hmm. Which would be, you know who used to do that? Ali.
Yeah.
He would take both his hands and he would hold the back of the opponent. Not the young Ali, the one that was older and could not dance any longer. Or had to do it periodically.
It makes his legs support you. You're making him support your weight. You're making the opponent support your weight. It's a good tactic. It tires people out and they don't see it coming. You'll gas them without. It's kind of sneaky. It's a sneaky way to gas them.
Remember, too, the 2 matches that it mattered in, Manila and Zaire.
Mm-hmm. Hot.
Humid. Mm-hmm. You're holding down a man, 200-something pounds. Foreman's the one who really mattered.
Yeah, made him breathe, made him work.
Constantly held on to the back of his head till he ran out of juice.
Mm-hmm.
You know what he told Dundee in that match?
What?
He said about the 8th round, 9th round, he said he's getting tired, I can tell. And Dundee said, how can you tell? He said, he's not lifting me off the ground anymore when he hits me. Those body shots.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
Oh my God.
Foreman hit like a just ugh.
He's a freight train coming at you, man.
Yeah. Who was it they were talking about the other day was throwing blows, and they said throwing punches like George Foreman? It was a great call to me because you don't hear that much, but he had a different it was Dream.
Oh.
Dream throws those wild
looping
punches. That's right. I'm sorry I mentioned Dream. I'm sorry guys. Okay. Anyway, back to the match we're talking about. Charlotte gets power bombed, and we get a black screen there on a wardrobe malfunction. And I would like to say to the people that work at WWE, good job for preventing mayhem there. But we do wind up getting mayhem outside of the ring as Asuka and Baszler get into it, and then as Charlotte winds up going for the figure 8, we have Baszler attack, and then Asuka clears the ring. Charlotte wins with the DQ as the heels flee. Hurt Business is still bullies. We'll move along. Angel Garza is...
Wait. I do want to... One thing on Hurt Business I want to bring up.
Go ahead.
I just want to bring up congratulations to MVP. I saw that he won a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu World Championship. That's no joke. No playing around. That's legit. Represents Barra Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. Congratulations, that's amazing.
Think about this. Bobby Lashley is legit.
Yeah, he is.
The only one in this group that I thought wasn't, like, I knew he was a rough around the edges guy coming up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the documentaries out there where he had gone to jail and things like that. But he was the one I didn't think of. Like, Shelton Benjamin is absolutely legit.
Yeah.
Former, he was a teammate of Brock Lesnar's at Minnesota, I believe.
Yeah.
And then you have, of course, Lashley being this phenomenal freak of nature that won Army boxing championships and wrestling championships, that kind of thing. And then when you think of MVP being legit too, this is a pretty formidable group of guys just in general. Hurt Business is completely legitimate name.
One of my favorite factions in all of wrestling right now. I mean, they are so good. Everything about them is awesome.
Totally justifies threatening 125-pound kids walking around backstage.
Oh yeah.
20-year-old guys.
I firmly believe a lot of that stuff is they're trying to keep them bad guys because they can see how cool they are.
Absolutely.
To keep them bad guys, you got to keep them doing something every week, because if you give anybody a chance to look at these guys, they're going to want to cheer for them because they're all great.
Right. Like you said, yeah, absolutely. Angel Garza gets interviewed by Charlie, and he's still smooth, and R-Truth is still running around backstage. Moving along. Hardy Bros and the New Day are going to wrestle the Hurt Business in a very large, lot of moving parts match. Riddle tries to come up with nicknames. The Rain Bros, I felt, was the best one of those.
I like that one.
Cedric Lashley, MVP Shelton versus Riddle, Hardy, Kofi, Woods. Just an amazing and eclectic group of talented performers. And we get that in spades. They do really well in all this. Riddle winds up getting Shelton into the corner, and they do the unicorn stampede thing where they all step on the chest for a while. Riddle gets to wrestle a lot early, and he does a lot of selling, which I thought was cool.
Mm-hmm.
When things get to be chaotic, it winds up taking all of the participants of the Hardy Bros and New Day to get Lashley out of the ring, which I thought was done well. During the commercial break, we get Lashley is entering the Rumble, and the obligatory "He's my favorite," because everybody that enters the Rumble from now till Rumble Day is the favorite during that segment. Yeah. Segment. And then we get Cedric on the offensive there with Riddle for a while, and Cedric has a little bit of Alex Shelley to him, in that he puts a little stink on everything he does.
Yeah, he does. I like that.
You
That's
know
a good
what
reference.
I mean? Alex Shelley can do an elbow drop standing, and it looks like the most complicated move ever, and impactful.
Oh yeah, because he knows the little speed up at the end to make it snap.
Yeah, absolutely, and
flair.
Cedric's that too.
Yeah,
you know? And Woods gets the blind tag. Kofi with the suicide. Jump out there onto. Let's see, how did that go?
I'm gonna guess a lot of people were standing around.
Yes, absolutely. Onto a lot of people. Woods goes wild. Hardy dives on MVP. Everything's nuts. And then, of course, Lashley winds up with Hardy in another full Nelson. And they get the win there. The interesting thing, though, is post-match, we assume that the heels are going to be the ones to do the beatdown. But rather, Riddle gets kind of a drive-by flash knee on Lashley. And it looks as if, as the baby faces don't seem to have minded losing a 4-man match, Riddle looks to be going into a program with Lashley, which is interesting to me.
I think that's a great program
for Riddle.
Yeah, it
really is. I said in my note, the sky's the limit for Riddle and Cedric.
Yeah,
Cedric's been around longer, but he still can do whatever they want him to do.
Oh, anything in the world, dude.
Yeah. Now the Miz is backstage and he is downtrodden. He's down to his last. He's down to his last tier, and as Morrison tries to console and counsel him, a glimmer of hope appears as Adam Pearce returns the Money in the Bank ladder briefcase, because lo and behold, the Miz's lawyers are right. Morrison cannot
cash in the.
Thank you, God, and because what we get next is the Miz and John Morrison doing a stair dance exhibition that will not ever be duplicated again.
No. No, it won't.
On purpose.
On purpose.
I'm okay with the Miz getting. I was kind of irritated they blew it. They should
That was so dumb.
They should have just made it a triple threat to start with.
Yeah, that was dumb. There's no way the Miz would come cash in his championship opportunity during the middle of a triple threat match. That's dumb.
Yeah, right. I get it. Okay, they talk about Legends Night, and then we're going to get into this main event thing here. But it's crazy to me that he had the worst ratings ever, right? And their answer to that was, okay, in 2 weeks, what we're going to do is we're going to break out all of our legends.
We're just going to hit the nostalgia button as hard as we can.
Right. And we're going to remind people that you used to really love our shows.
But then we're going to give you a product that
Then we're going to run Keith Lee and Drew out there, and you're going to be hyped, and then we're going to pull shenanigans on it.
Mm-hmm. And you're going to hate every bit of it.
Right. I never understand. I feel like, in a way, well, first of all, just the placement of it, right? The national championship game, I believe, is 2 weeks from now, right?
It's the 11th, so
it's not this Monday, but next.
Next Monday.
So even if you get 1.8 million people to watch, the next week the ratings are going to go right back down because the national championship game is against your product.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were going to do this to really try to make it make sense, you would do it in 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Post the national title game.
Yeah.
But also, if you continue to hit, and I saw this thing where they said Bruce Pritchard believes WWE fans don't like new things. And
Bruce Pritchard is an idiot.
I thought to myself, if I was his boss and I heard that he said that, whether it was in, and I like Bruce Pritchard just fine, I find him to be interesting. But Ray asked me yesterday, he said, Dad, what would you do to make the WWE better if you could do one thing? And I said, I'd fire Bruce Pritchard.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't advocate for firing people. When I heard him, I would definitely have somebody. I said, what I would do is I would split up the people who write my NXT, send them to Raw, and leave everything else the same.
Well, but Bruce Pritchard is a mouthpiece of the guy who thinks that. The only reason Bruce Pritchard has that job is because he
agrees with Vince.
Yeah.
And he does what Vince wants.
And somebody came in there, and Paul Heyman was in there and was trying to do stuff. And the top guy says, we don't, no, that's not what we want to do. And he brings in Bruce Pritchard for that exact reason.
You may be right there. You may be right. It could, like I said, I feel bad about saying that they should can the guy. Because I do find him fascinating. I think he's very smart.
I think Bruce Pritchard's a great booker, but he should not be in charge of.
Well, just to say our fans don't want new things is to openly advocate not developing new fans.
Mm-hmm. It's advocating your business to die.
Right.
Because sooner or later.
Right. Because at some point, Stone Cold gets too old to wrestle. At some point, this group you have now, at some point, Drew McIntyre won't be able to do it. And if Drew McIntyre isn't the guy, which I don't know that that's true. I don't think we can know that that's true until we get real audiences.
Yes.
But if he's not the guy, then Keith Lee needs to be. And if he's not the guy, then Cameron Cross needs to come up and be. But what you can't do is say, we're going to continue to run legends out here.
Yeah.
Those are scheduled things. You shouldn't be having to pull that up on the heels of we had bad ratings.
Yeah, to save your butt.
Right, because we need to get people watching this again. And there was a, in theory, closed session argument between the USA Network and the company.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, well, we'll save it. We'll get you a good number next week. Well, that's not going to get you a good number in 3 weeks or 4 weeks.
No, that's my problem. Is none of this planning is planning to keep the business moving in a positive direction. It's reactive, and it's all week to week to week to week desperation moves.
Well, you know what could maybe do what they want as far as building new fan bases? Who are two guys that you think if you were young, you would be fascinated with? Ricochet and Mustafa.
Mm-hmm.
And they're down here they're in a program. It's on Raw.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't do what you hope it would do.
No. Well, it's just because it's booked terribly and everything about it's been done poorly, and they've screwed every opportunity they had up with it, and it's just,
But
not through any work of the talent.
On the heels of that, we are getting an intergender wrestling match. Indies, are you ready? Alexa Bliss versus Randy. It didn't want it being a wrestling match.
No, it was.
I was scared.
It's disturbing.
Yes. So Randy comes to the ring, and Alexa has a package for him, which entails a gasoline can and a box of matches. She pours gas on the ground.
I call that the left eye package.
Woo! Goodness. Okay, for you older guys, you'll know what that's about. What the heck? She tried to burn down. She did burn down Andre Bad Moon, and rest in peace, Left Eye.
Yeah.
Phenomenal talent, but evidently Bad Moon Rising did something that upset her at some point.
He cheated on her.
And so she burned his house down. Okay.
Yep.
And so Alexa Bliss says, burn me like you did the Fiend. And Randy doesn't seem to be inclined to do that, to which she creates the gas line from Randy to herself. It says, do it again. He won't do it. And she pours gasoline over her head, which I think it was water.
It's not gasoline.
Because
it's too dangerous, dude. Because a static electricity spark could set off gasoline fumes.
She's not pouring gas on her hair.
No. Besides, gasoline will burn your skin if you leave it on there too long, too. There's no way
yeah, right. It was water.
Or apple juice or something, the right color.
Mm-hmm. But it was weird.
Yeah.
It was.
Sold it. She sold that she was legit.
Yeah, I want to join the Fiend. I want to join my mentor in whatever place you sent him to.
Mm-hmm.
Burn me down. And then we get the lights go out, as Randy's not going to do it. And then, of course, when the lights go out, he lights the match in order to see or burn Alexa.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get credits. What did you think about the ending segment?
Thought it was bold. I thought that part, I liked that they went, we can't sit here and complain. Hey, they don't ever do something different, and they try something a little weird, a little different. I'm fine. I want to see how it plays out.
I also thought this was a good episode.
Mm-hmm. There were some good parts.
It is strange that I complain about it as much as I do and I just advocated for the canning of a guy that wasn't fair. But it just shows how invested I am.
Mm-hmm. It is. Glad somebody's still invested in the product.
Right. All right, SmackDown. It was a tough year. They did the tribute picture again. Then it was a tough year according to Roman after his music hits, but the tribal chief makes it work. I wear a gold glove because what I touch turns to gold. And I think it was cool that he bothered to explain why he wears the gold glove.
Mm-hmm. It's not just a fashion choice, sir.
Or a tribute to Thanos or whatever. It was
yeah,
that kind of thing.
Midas.
Oh. Well, that actually is a tribute to Midas, which is awesome. And then he explains the group he surrounded himself with, as he has taken Paul, who was once discarded, and saved him. Paul is the most genuine man he knows.
True statement. Paul Heyman is the essence of sincerity.
I've been reading about Paul Heyman since the 80s. I don't think it was even early 80s. I think Paulie Dangerously was maybe 84, 82, something like that. Never once heard he was genuine.
No. I heard it was genuine. Beep! Numerous times.
Oh, Jay Uso has had the best year of his career.
True statement.
Yes. He's the main event every week. Paychecks galore. Barn burner after barn burner. This is what it's like when you align yourself with the chief, with the head of the tribal chief and the head of the table, and then Kevin Owens comes out and Roman shuts that down and says, good, you got your paychecks, I set you up, you got to spend some time on the island of relevancy, Go home. Nobody cares about you. Tonight is about Jay. Quit being selfish. KO agrees that he is an embarrassment to Roman and then he outlines the fact that he has beaten Roman without, if Roman didn't have help, he would have beaten him multiple times, which is all true.
Mm-hmm.
He says, and tonight is about Jay because I'm going to go back there and find out a way to get me a match with Jay, and I'm going to beat the snot out of him.
Because, of course, nobody will interfere with that match, and it will totally go.
Well, we'll see. But you can't cross that road till you get to it.
Or you could make a plan of some sort of how to neutralize outside factors before engaging in, just saying, I don't always necessarily tactically. If you do this, if you get beat up the same way every week and you keep doing the same thing, it's hard for me to root for you sometimes. And I love him. But it's like, dude, you knew this was going to happen.
Right. But if he was smart, he'd be the champ.
That's true. It's true.
All right. Colin Graves now. Graves is in a fantastic felt-like suit.
Woo! Beautiful.
Yes, good for him. Big E highlights of the win he had last week, which was a great matchup.
Yes.
And then we have Big E versus Baron Corbin and the Knights of the Lone Wolves. Big E with Sammy on commentary, which I thought was appropriate. And it will be more appropriate as we see where this winds up going. Big E with a Brody-style gray outfit. Gesundheit.
Thank you.
And multiple Gator rolls, which are tributes, of course, to Brody. And also, I love Brody armband as well. I love Gator rolls in general. And I would, a man of his size utilizing that move, if he wants to put that into his moveset, would be
it looks
perfect
good.
Fit for him.
And I'd like to bring up too a lot of the talent. I mean, I think Drew did it. Several other people on Raw. Several other people you kept hearing going, yeah. They kept working in some Brody Lee.
Yeah, I thought it was I guess because this is the WWE version or the Sports Entertainment version, I thought it was interesting to hear a couple of the different things Seth said about him. Like he had a Twitter. He did. I guess the CrossFit community dedicates workouts to fallen friends and stuff, and they've dedicated a workout to Brody. But he was kind of choking up talking about that. But he also put out a post on his Twitter feed and maybe on Instagram too about how he had advocated for Brody to get signed when he was at FCW.
Oh man.
And that he was like, dude, that dude's everything. And then when he winds up getting signed, he got moved up, and he was not disappointed to get moved up, but he was like, well, that sucks because he finally gets here. He said, but then they were right up on the roster, soon thereafter, and one of the better feuds the Shield had.
Yes.
And really the only feud they lost was to the Wyatt family.
That's it.
And he said that he and Brody almost came to blows backstage pre one of their matches with the two feuds because they were arguing about the way the match should go or whatever. And
that would not go Seth's way.
Oh, he said he always looked up to Brody, and not just because he was a mountain of a man, but that you could tell he was broke up. You could tell Big E was really broke up about it. He said that Brody had a neat thing in that Bray and Braun always try to one up each other, and that Brody would love to just continue to pour gas on that to see how far it would escalate. Yeah.
He was the instigator.
Let's see how far we can help these guys hate each other, right? Okay, and so let's get on back to this match. Okay, Big E does hit the big ending out of nowhere, and Sammy attacks. I mean, before he can even get on top of him, Sammy attacks. He must have known what was
saw it coming.
Yes. Well, he's seen a lot of wrestling. He used to follow a guy named El Generico.
Yeah, that dude was known for those kind of maneuvers.
Yes. Apollo comes down and tosses Sammy like a duffel bag out onto the lonely pack of wolves.
Yeah.
And yes. And then this turns into a tag match in which Apollo winds up outside of the ring and Corbin's crew helps. And then, of course, when Apollo winds up outside of the ring, when Sammy's wrestling, they don't, which turns into Sammy demanding that they listen to him Corbin says that nobody listens to you, and that turns into more and more arguments until the point at which Corbin gets so mad he leaves Sammy there alone to walk into a rough little powerbomb thingy that Apollo does. He's
just stalled in midair too. He held him up there for a moment. Dude.
Yeah, then threw him higher and then pulled him back down. And then the 1, 2, 3, and Sammy gets beat here, and then we move on to a backstage segment in which Kevin Owens argues with Adam Pearce, who says, hey, I answer to Roman. And he says, what do you mean you answer to Roman? And then he brings up the armories, because whenever in doubt of your morality, we go back to the days when you would do anything for a paycheck.
Yes. Anything.
Yes. I remember when we, wrestled for $1 and killed each other. Yeah, but we don't anymore. And I have like this really good paycheck, and I want to keep it.
I got these nice suits now.
So I should ignore it.
Yes.
And do what you asked me to do.
Yes. You didn't get me here.
Right. But, of course, then he brings up the fans. And we do it for the fans. And so they're going to do it for the fans. And he gets Jey Uso in the ring. And great. Because I did want to see the match. I agree with Adam Pearce on this. And I feel for Adam Pearce, because we know at some point Adam's going to catch it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's coming. Big E tries to do an open challenge, and Apollo interrupts and says, hey, the belt's still on you because I helped you out. I probably won't be there to help you next week when I accept your challenge. And then they laugh, and it's great. Riot Squad versus Tamina and Natty with Billy. The whole point of this is that Billy
gradually shifts alliances,
comes out and assumes the role of Tamina and Natty's manager, and then when Tamina gets rolled up by Liv, Billy has switched over to the Riot Squad's manager. Again, neither squad knew that Billy was going to try to be their manager, and this was great.
Yeah, Billy Kay is killing it.
You mentioned, they break them up because they want Peyton Royce to be a single star. And Billy has been so entertaining that Peyton is getting these, 4 minutes worth of action every other week. Wrestling, and Billy's getting 5-7 minutes of show just walking around talking, and she's way more fun.
She's fun to watch, dude.
Oh, I love her. I love her to death. It's boss time. Sasha, Bianca versus Carmella and Bayley. And I don't know if you know this, but Corey Graves is quite smitten with Carmella.
Really? I thought he was just being an objective journalist.
And he is actually, he's smitten with almost every woman that comes out, but especially smitten with Carmella, it seems. Right.
Strange.
And I have been blown away by how much better a wrestler Carmella is this time around.
She did some work when she was off, man. She did some good work.
She did, because I expected Sasha and Bianca and Bayley to be great in this match. But Bayley didn't wrestle that much. Most of what she did was outside of the ring fighting Bianca.
Setting the table.
For Mella to wind up. And Mella was the showcase here. And
well, Reggie was the showcase here.
God, he was. And not in a bad way. This was, like you said, it was nonsensical that it's the way it went, but they did it in order to have him
show off.
Right. Yeah. Right. And so, again, we have this really good little matchup, and then Bayley and Bianca are fighting outside, and Bianca wins that fight by utilizing. Bayley tried to pull her hair, and her hair goes down to her knee and is tightly woven so that she's able to turn around and pull Bayley with it into the steps, and then that winds up leading to more fighting outside. Reginald, during all of these distractions, tries to get involved, and then
Sasha Banks had her.
Sasha is looking at that. Mella gets the roll up, which turns into Sasha reversing a couple of those things and getting her in a Banks statement. They back that up far enough that Reginald can roll into the ring a little bit, grab her, pull her out. The referee should have
immediately dequalified.
He did not, or she did not. The referee was a female. She did not. Reginald then gets into the ring to further distract. He manages to do a little back roll out of the ring, which was very coordinated. Hops up onto the apron, does a springboard off of it, somersault onto the ground, moonsault, whatever you call it, lands that. Reginald's quite the athlete.
Yeah, he is.
Gets back on the apron, catches a slap to the head, does a bump onto the apron, onto the floor.
Beautifully done.
Mella looks like she's going to get the win here, but Sasha reverses that and winds up with, how did she pull it off? It wound up with the little, what do you call that? Roll over into a pinning position.
Jackknife cover.
Jackknife cover. But, of course, Mella gets out of that. She hits 2 super kicks, and he called it the spike the ball, which is the old X-Pac head slam into the ground.
The X Factor.
The X Factor. Okay. And then she winds up getting a clean win here, sort of ish. Over the champ. And looks like this program's going to continue, and I'm kind of all for it, and I didn't think I would be.
Yeah.
Okay. Roman wants to know who on earth doesn't appreciate me because they're not doing what I've told them to do. And so he sends Paul to find out. We noticed that he never even looked at Paul.
Nope, never had to.
Because he is in command.
Yeah, you listen to him. He didn't look at you. You look at him.
Right, it's your job to listen.
Yeah.
And do exactly what you're told at all times.
And be paying attention.
And so Paul heads off to go find out. And then we roll into the most welcome thing, and it was just a moment. But Sonya Deville was walking around backstage looking absolutely perfect in a black suit.
Perfect. That is the coolest suit I may have ever seen.
She didn't wrestle, but she was there, which means she's coming back, which is great because if you don't know or whatever, she had been on a break since a home invasion in which somebody had tried to
kidnap her.
Yeah, abduct her, and she wound up having to testify in the whole 9. And good for her to feel comfortable enough being in the spotlight again to come back. That's awesome. And she's one of my favorites anyway, and she was killing it when she went away.
Spectacular. Yeah. Revelation.
Yeah, this is really good for the show. I'm almost surprised she wound up on SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like the other show could use her, but, we'll see. Okay, here we go. Street Profits New Year thing. Montez is quite the singer. Turns out that your boy Dawkins is a good drummer. He tries to make some jokes here. Key ingredient to all of this is that Dolph and Rude beat them up.
Uh-huh.
I thought that was the main takeaway here.
Yes.
And so we'll just move along. Kayla winds up asking Dolph and them later on backstage about the unprovoked assault, which is complete baloney because
they were making fun of them.
They've been making fun of them for months.
Mm-hmm. Bullying.
Provoked.
Bullying
assaults.
Is not okay, folks. Words are violence.
Yeah, words are violence.
It's hurtful.
Yeah, so to me, they're even.
Yeah.
One said mean stuff and the other one hit him with chairs.
Yes. Tried to cripple them.
Even Stevens. Daniel Bryan is with Otis, training at the academy here.
Training.
We do get a backstage segment where they're working on hips. It is somewhat awkward, and Cesaro and Sheamus bother to acknowledge the awkwardness, and suddenly everybody's offended, right?
Yeah.
Us, whatever. And so then we get a match, and it's really good.
Oh, yeah, it is great.
And the collection of talent you have in this thing. Otis is a legitimate wrestler. Daniel Bryan is one of the great in-ring performers, at least of his generation, if not of all time. Shinsuke Nakamura likewise. Yes. Cesaro likewise.
Yes.
And maybe the best athlete of the bunch is the manager on the other side, Gable.
Oh, yeah. The Olympic wrestler.
Right. And this was great. And we see a short segment, and I pointed it out to you and to Ray, that Otis does a throw, a suplex of some kind to Cesaro, turns, and hits a spinning lariat. And that alone is a moveset that has won people world titles.
Yes.
And yet, we still have him doing caterpillars.
Mm-hmm. Again, I point out the dude is Vader, because he's obviously doing the Vader homage with his outfit and everything.
Yeah.
With the ability to talk, superior athletic ability, superior, wrestling ability.
Right.
Doesn't stink. That's not a joke. The man supposedly was smelled terrible and would not take baths, and everybody hated working with him. Vader, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't understand why you got this dude dancing and doing caterpillars, and it's just.
But to your point, Daniel Bryan winds up getting the win here.
And
winds
then
up
we
getting Shinsuke. And then we complain about dancing, but we get the Three Amigos spot after it. And
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the Three Amigos spot.
What's the Three Amigos spot?
When they
the movie Three Amigos, Chevy Chase and
Steve Martin and Martin Short.
Yes, they did a little dance thing where they did one arm over almost like a
Macarena
Macarena, but it was pre-Macarena, where they did pop, and then they put their hands behind their head, and then they did a hip thrust, and they all did that in the middle of the ring together.
Yeah, it's totally Three Amigos. I saw it, I was like, that is, yes.
Yes, perfect.
My little buttercup.
Mm-hmm. Roman, alone and angry, is informed by Paul that Adam Pearce does not understand. And Roman says he doesn't understand. They're trying to take everything we have worked for, go out there and show them you are main event. Uso. And Jay goes out to the ring and gets his butt whooped. Whooped. Viciously. Kevin Owens works him over, then picks out a body part, works his ankle over, throws him over the table. Every now and then Uso gets a little bit of offense, but mostly just a whooping. And then, of course, we do get the spot where they wind up on the top turnbuckle, and Jay manages to fight Kevin off. Jay goes for the Uso splash. Kevin moves. Jay tries to land it. Of course, the ankle gives way when he tries to land it. That winds up being a super kick and a cutter, which winds up being the finish. 1, 2, 3. Then Kevin Owens is not done. He gets a chair. He proceeds to beat Jay up even more. He handcuffs Jay, which is a callback to the week before where Jay had handcuffed Kevin to the steel cage to prevent him from winning that match. So Kevin in turn handcuffs Jay, and the beatdown ensues more. Then he handcuffs his hands together.
Here's my problem right here.
Yeah, what's up?
Here's where it went wrong for me tactically. If I've got Jay locked up here in the middle of this ring, then I can go get Roman by himself.
Yes.
Why am I...
Well, and then the plan was I'm going to handcuff Jay to himself, but he doesn't have him handcuffed in a way like the handcuffs
are so long.
They stretch like 4 feet.
Yeah.
There's a chain between them, which tactically speaking, you can choke somebody with those.
Oh, yeah.
And that could happen to you because, as we know in wrestling, when you bring out an instrument, it can in turn get used against you. I'm going to bring him backstage to you. Kevin, Squirrel.
Yeah.
He's running down there, you know, Up, where the dog has the thing where he can talk and he sees a squirrel. Kevin walks down it, but no, he's not going to go backstage. He sees a table. So now instead of going backstage with him, he decides I'm going to get up on top of the Thunderdome ramp area where the TVs are all set, whatever those monitors are that they put everybody's face on all around the Thunderdome. He climbs up on that, climbs up on the second level so he can jump down onto Jay, and of course Roman happens to be there. And Roman pummels Kevin. Kevin does get a little fight back, but Jay at this point has recovered enough to be helpful. At that point, we get the beatdown that we knew was coming.
Yep.
It is brutal. Roman winds up
chunking him. Wow.
Well, first he takes him up to the top row and slams his head on the LED screen so hard that he scrapes the guy's head open on the LED screen.
No, dude, he worked him, dude.
Yeah, and then he tosses him down onto the tables, and Kevin winds up laid out at the end of the match. A great episode, right?
I still think he should have thrown Jay at him. Right now.
Yes. That would have been the ultimate and ultimate contribution by Jay.
Yeah, dude. Jay should be thankful.
Just pick Jay up over his head and King Kong him down onto Kevin
Owens.
Laying in the heat. That would have been the way to end it.
Yes.
But that is not what happened.
Nah.
But it was a great episode.
Oh, I loved it. Yeah. Really good.
Roman is killing it.
Killing it.
And
Next level, dude.
Kevin is killing it.
Them together is great.
Yeah. Yeah. We were talking about how, in a weird way, Kevin was always Seth has always said that Dean was his wrestling soulmate or whatever, but I always thought it was Kevin Owens. And in a weird way, Roman Kevin Owens is even more so because Roman is really the anointed guy.
Yes.
Kevin is really the counter of everything Vince sees as a successful wrestler.
Yep.
The everyman indie wrestler guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm going home to my family as soon as the show's over. You're not going to get me. I'm not going to Good Morning America.
No, I'm not going to Hollywood.
No, all I'm going to do is be really great for you 2 hours a week. And if you insist I go to house shows, I'll be really great for you there too, because that's how I make this money to support my family.
Yeah.
I'm not going to the gym. I'm not going to worry about anything other than being absolutely phenomenal when you put a light on me.
Yep.
And he kills it.
Every time.
And you cannot deny him. And Roman is the opposite of that.
Yeah.
And Roman is perfect foil for him, and they are perfect together.
Yeah.
And I love this rivalry. I hope it goes to Rumble, and then we move on to something else.
Mm-hmm.
And Kevin has worked his way back from being a heel to this little face run he's had to where he's above where he was when he was feuding with Shane.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he is really huge right now.
Yeah, he is.
As a performer. And you really don't need another star on that level on that show. Like, you could move somebody over to help Raw if you wanted, if you have somebody you think can do it. Because right now, Kevin Owens getting into something with a mid-card talent next would be fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Or you know what you really could do? Go back to Kevin and Sammy.
Yeah.
Give us those matches again. It's been a few years.
Yeah, people can forget. Bring that back.
Well, there's a whole generation out there that didn't even see him. The NXT ones. How long ago was that? 5 or 6 years?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's a whole crew of guys that haven't seen what would be Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn wrestling each other is 4 stars.
Yeah, every time.
You know what I mean? So you could do that easy. And the promos are 5.
Mm-hmm.
God, especially when Kevin could just continually berate Sammy for what a whiner he is.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
If you put him in a match, a 3-way with Cody Rhodes, it'd be a 3.5-star match.
Right.
Drag Cody up.
Right. Thank you to Justin for being here today.
Woo!
Thank you to you for listening. Thank you for Ray for sitting here and not saying anything. Appreciate that, brother.
Excellent contribution.
Thank you to Charles Gibson and Gibson Project and Daniel and all those guys and all they do over there helping us out. And this has been a Go Home Heat production. Copyright 2020. Go home.